Welcome to Catch and Go. In today's telecast, we're going to do part 2 of part 22. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Below it, right next. Then below that, you simply write the rise of Erdogan. And below that, you simply write, let me explain to you. The title is called Part 2 of Part 22 to the title, The Kingdom of Heaven is at Hand. Below it, next. Below that, The Rise of Erdogan. And below that, somewhere on your paper, I simply want you to write the word Confederacy. But I forgot to tell you that we're here and the stage is set and God is simply going to speak loud and clear, because in my last telecast, the grace of God came out and the Lord said that now he's about to reveal the mysteries of the book of Daniel. Let us get started. I want to make something very clear before I get started. I want you to write somewhere on your paper the final structure. So somewhere else on your paper, write the final empire. Then I also want you to write the masterpiece of the Antichrist, because it was 2:56 p.m. today, June 28, 2026, and the grace of God spoke to me, and the glory of God began to show me the following words. The Lord showed me the words, the Prince of the Covenant. And that's why I said that in my last telecast, in the last prior telecast as well, the last couple of ones, the grace of God has been saying that he's about to reveal the mystery of the book of Daniel. And I said right off the back, we're here. The stage is set. Daniel chapter 9, Daniel chapter 7, Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 11. Somewhere on your notes, I want you to write 3 PowerPoint verses. Write Daniel 9, verse 27. Write Daniel 11, verse 22. And write down 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Somewhere else on your paper, simply write the separation. Then the Lord comes back 7 minutes later at 3:03. Today, June 28, 2026. And the grace of God comes out and said, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, that lawless one. And let me say the title once and for all. The title is called Part 22 of the Kingdom of Heaven is at Hand. And I said this is part 2 to that title. Below it, right next. Then I said the rise of Erdogan. Then I told you to write the words. Then I told you to write Confederacy. Because PowerPoint number 1, I simply want you to write Erdogan. It's God's middleman to the Middle East when it comes to the Islamic Revolution. Then also write below PowerPoint number 1, write the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Now, for the letter A, I want you to write the rise of Islam. For the letter B, write Islam's army, and write the rise of the Jihadists. Let me make that very clear. PowerPoint number 1, the middleman to the Middle East that God has got in place is a guy named Erdogan. I told you to write the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Erdogan is the one that God uses together this Islamic coalition, and the glory of God is simply saying, get ready for what the Lord just said. He said, get ready for part 2 of phase 2 to the Gaza Strip. Now, it was June 27 at 3:22 p.m. 2026 when the word of the Lord came to me, and the grace of God begins to speak to me concerning Syria. Now, let me say that again. It was 3:22 p.m. and the glory of God comes to me on June 27, 2026 And the Lord said to me, Syria. And then the Lord began to speak to me concerning, and he uttered the Sharia Law. Now, there's reasons why the grace of God said Syria. Because the Lord at that point, at 3:22 p.m., the Lord showed me the President of Syria. He will come on board, combine together with Erdogan, and they will go up to the north and the northern invasion, and to invade Israel from the north. I want to make that very clear. Turkey in Syria with the Russians and that coalition of army that Erdogan will put together. But I want to make this very clear, that on June 27, 2026, which was yesterday, the Lord did speak earlier in that day, and we will get to that point. Now, also, when you look at Erdogan, you simply need to write down Daniel chapter 8. Simply write to Turkey, Iran. You simply write the goat and the ram, and the glory of God is going to get to the bottom of Daniel chapter 8. I want to make that very clear. So Erdogan is the one that goes up to the north with the President of Syria, with Russia, with the coalition. They go up to invade the nation of Israel from the north and the northern border. Now, I also told you that when the Lord showed me Syria, the grace of God immediately came out and said, the Sharia Law, and the grace of God spoke for the second time, and he said, the beheading. Now, next to Daniel chapter 8, you write the words, the invasion from the north. Also write Turkey and Iran, the goat in the ram. Now, for PowerPoint number 4, I simply want you to write the realignment. But PowerPoint number 2 is the north. PowerPoint number 3 is Turkey and Iran. And below it, Daniel chapter 8. I want to make that very clear. And PowerPoint number 4 is the realignment. PowerPoint number 5, you simply write Islam, false Messiah. PowerPoint number 6, the rise of that little horn. PowerPoint number 7, the time was 3:38 p.m. 6 minutes later, remember I said 3:32 p.m. 6 minutes later, the Lord comes, and the word of the Lord came to me, and the Lord said, the Caliph. I want to make that very clear. 6 minutes later, at 3:38 p.m., the grace of God says, the Caliph. I want to make that very clear. Then PowerPoint number 8, simply write Revelation chapter 6, right below it, Rome and Islam kiss, and then write Pergamum, Satan's dwelling place. Now, the glory of God, when he spoke, and I was writing down PowerPoint number 6, the Lord spoke, and the word of the Lord came to me, and he said, the start of the tribulation period and the books being open. Remember that the Lord has said over and over that now he's about to reveal the mysteries of the book of Daniel. He's about to confirm and bring confirmation who is the one in Daniel chapter 9, verse 24 to 27. As if we go further into the points, the grace of God comes at one point. As I'm laying down this message and this title, the grace of God just mentions to me Daniel 9, verse 27, when it came to just one individual, and we will explain and we will reveal who that individual is. Now, when I tell you and I reveal to you who God showed me and who God revealed from Daniel 9 verse 27, I'm not saying, I want to make that very clear, I'm not saying that he is the Antichrist. I'm not saying that. I am saying very clear that God took me into the realm, opened the window, showed me the individual, then the Lord flipped my eyes very quickly, very fast, and he showed me Daniel chapter 9 verse 27, and there's divine reasons why God, when he took my eyes into the realm of the spirit, doesn't begin to show me verse 24, 25, or 26. Why in the world will the Lord only show me verse 27 when it comes to that individual. Let me give you the PowerPoints. PowerPoint number 1, simply Erdogan is God's middleman to the Middle East to build and bring the Islamic Revolution, and not only build and put together that coalition that will invade the nation of Israel from the northern border, and Erdogan with Syria, with the President of Syria and Russia, and the grace of God utter these words, Ethiopia, and he uttered another word and showed me in the realm of the Spirit, Libya. They will go up and invade Israel from the northern border. And the Lord is showing me Luke chapter 21. When Jerusalem is surrounded, you know that at that point, you're going to see God's wrath, God's indignation, and God's judgment. But I want to continue with PowerPoint number 2. And PowerPoint number 2 was the North. And then PowerPoint number 3 was Turkey and Iran, and below it, Daniel chapter 8. But I told you also to write for PowerPoint number 1, the rise of the Ottoman Empire, the Sharia Law. Now, I forgot to tell you, as I was laying this title out, when I got to PowerPoint number 1, and I explained that the Erdogan is God's middleman to the Middle East, and he will put together that Islamic Revolution and that coalition, the grace of God, after he spoke to me, and he said also the President of Syria, the grace of God drops a bombshell. He said Erdogan is the one that's pushing for that invasion. But the grace of God's audible voice comes out, and the Lord said, but Saudi Arabia will enforce it. The Saudi crown prince. Look what the Lord does when I'm releasing and laying out PowerPoint number 1. The grace of God comes at some point, and he begins to speak to me that Erdogan pushes for this coalition and pushes to invade Israel from the north, and then the Saudi crown prince enforces it. In other words, he gives Erdogan a green light to go up now and invade Israel from the northern border. And pay attention to what I just said to you when it comes to Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. And that's what the Lord showed me. And you need to understand, bear in mind the Saudi crown prince. Let me continue with PowerPoint number 2. I said the invasion from the north. PowerPoint number 3, Turkey, Iran, below it, Daniel chapter 8. PowerPoint number 4, the realignment and the global shift of alliance. PowerPoint number 5, Islam's false messiah. PowerPoint number 6, the rise of the little horn. PowerPoint number 7, the time now is 3:38 p.m. and June 27, 2026. And the word of the Lord came to me, and the Lord said, the Caliph. Then I said, PowerPoint number 8 was Revelation chapter 6. You can begin with verse number 1, but keep in mind verse 3 and 4, that fiery red horse. And I told you for PowerPoint number 8, write Revelation chapter 6, Rome and Islam kiss. And I said to you that you also needed to write Pergama, Satan's dwelling place. And then after that, after I was laying PowerPoint number 8, the word of the Lord came to me, and the Lord said, the start of the tribulation period and the start of the beheading. And then the Lord said, and the books being opened, and the Lord has every intention to remove the church when it comes to the removal, the rapture, and the glory of God has every intention to open up the 7 seals and open up the first seal. The glory of God just said something to me and showed me that we are, watch what he said and watch what he showed me, because several months ago, I believe, or sometime earlier this year or last year, the grace of God showed me this one word, threshold. And the Lord said, we are at the threshold of the rapture. Now, I want to give you some other key things to this title. And that is that I have said, the stage is set. We're here. God's about to reveal the mystery of the book of Daniel is going to be solved, and practically solved to some extent. And the glory of God's going to reveal one of the key components and the key individual when it comes to Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. Remember, I said the stage is set. Then I told you to write the final structure, the final empire. I told you to write the masterpiece of the Antichrist, because I said that at 2:56 p.m. the word of the Lord came to me. The Lord quickly shifted my eyes into the realm of the spirit, and the Lord showed me the following words: the Prince of the Covenant. And I said, keep in mind, Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, the Prince of the Covenant, because God basically is opening up the mystery of the book of Daniel. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it right here, and I will come back. May the Lord so richly bless you. Remember to click like, share, subscribe, hit on the bell to receive our latest telecast. And I catch you on my next telecast of Catch and Go. God bless.